Evening all. Hopefully the mic is picking up everything that it needs to and doing all that good stuff. Let's just put on some background ambience here. Evening, AB, Shinobi. Good to see you both. How are you both doing? You well? How was your weekend? Good. I'll just try and get a feeling for how long that YouTube rest of life delay is. But yeah, I'm not sure if. Let's just grab some. Probably best to ask. Not to ask why I have tissue immediately hand in front of the computer, but it's not what you think. I have been, over the last few days, painting some more of my Warhammer 40k stuff. That's a painting handle, so you can paint it without the risk of smudging stuff. So, and then just a little bit of fairy washing up liquid in your paint cleaning water, and then to clean off the brushes. So, not what do you think, dirty-minded individuals, you're monsters. But I'm just going to give you a bit of a polish, all right? That's what she said. There you go. That's that stream not monetized at all. Oh well. I don't know if that did anything. I still feel a little bit like not quite in focus, but there we go. Happy evening from Edison. Evening, buddy. So we actually have some Star Citizen-esque stuff to talk about this evening, which is cool. Because it's not always been that way, has it, over the last few days, or for the last few streams. So there is some news. It's divisive news, which is the best sort of news. Stunner, good evening, buddy. Notorious, welcome. John Mortimer, good evening, good to see you. Yeah, this is what happens. I actually have people to talk to when I don't put the stream to private and nobody can see it. Who knew? But yes, so I'm having just a bit of a, hence the reason I'm not normally in my, I've got my Pandemonium t-shirt on, but I'm just a little bit underdressed for this stream because I don't want to get paint all down myself, obviously. So yeah, been doing a little bit of that. We've got a Primaris Psyker who's almost finished. He just needs basing and then a couple of touch-ups and bits and pieces. So yeah, we've had a productive painting weekend. Anyway, so good stuff. So there's a couple of things I want to do. The Squadron 42 thing, not a clickbait title. I've asked ChatGPT to play both Squadron 42 and Star Citizen as text-based adventures, because I just need some. I need some Squadron 42 goodness. So we're going to go and have a go with that. Edison, I worry when you start talking about private streams, my friend. Please don't. But yeah, so we're going to have a look at that. But firstly, what I want to do is have a look at the announcement that's come out with the PTU waves. If everyone's been aware of that, Salty Mike did an answer the call a little while ago. So he's done all the hard work. He's gathered lots of different opinions in one place. So we can go and have a listen. I might do a little bit of skipping through, but I've literally gone about 2 minutes in to where he's kind of done his channel sponsorship plug, and he's now going to start reacting. So I don't know what he says. He might come out positive. He said right at the beginning that he was a little bit more positive about this than he was expecting. So don't know, and I don't know which guests he's got on either. I know he did on his Reacts channel something with Morphologist, and I'm not seeing that either. But that'll be cool. We can watch this through together and see what we think. Plan to do that for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. And then the rest of it we can have a bit of a muck around with ChatGPT and stuff like that. So yeah, that's this evening's plan. I feel like I am more prepared than previously, which is a good thing. But for those that are wondering, so I have kind of fired a couple of responses out in the chat as well. But for those who have not seen it, this is effectively what's been said. So there's a lot of stuff in here that is them building up to and that sort of stuff. Okay, they start off by saying we're an essential part of the PTU process, okay? And then it says a little bit later down, the third paragraph down here, for the last 4 years, we haven't changed the PTU wave system, which regulates who has access to the test servers and when. Over time, more and more players have gained access to various waves, which has ultimately led us away from our initial goals with testing waves. We have also come to notice that many players only log on once per PTU phase to briefly inspect the latest features or new ships before waiting for the live release. This led to very high player loads in the first few hours of each wave release, combined with the comparatively high server costs and download provisioning, but not the sustained playtesting we would have preferred. As a consequence, towards the end of a PTU phase, we sometimes lack the necessary numbers of testers to put the servers under pressure once the most significant bugs had been fixed. We saw this extensively with 3.18, right? So, and I'm going to go and have a look, as we talk through, we're going to go and have a look at a couple of the announcements they made post 3.18 getting into the hands of backers at various stages, because they all mention one thing that is key to this new structure, okay? But it says, now, for this reason, the team has decided to restructure the PTU's waves to focus on player activity. So now it's about load testing, and that's what tripped 3.18 up, right? They didn't have the initial testing load that stressed the ship servers, the one where you claim your ship, insurance, claim your ship, deliver your ship. So what we all used to do was we used to get to a station, claim all of our ships, and, then they were at the station or the base that we were using. Well, that destroyed it on the scale that we had in the PU that they didn't achieve in the PTU. Okay, and we'll look at that specific announcement, and they reference the fact that they just weren't expecting that amount of load because they didn't get it during PTU. So this is what they're talking about. Okay, so basically, here's the plan now. Wave 1, okay, you'll still have an Evo Carty as normal, okay? Evo Carty hasn't changed. There will then be 4 waves. 4 waves. I'm having a good day. 4 waves. Wave 1 is top active players rated by hours in the previous 2 patches. Okay, so from the PTU of the beginning of 3.18, the amount of playtime you've had up until the release of 3.20 PTU will determine if you're in that top tranche, you've got access. No money required other than your game package. It's just on playtime. Subscribers, all of them. So whether you are either of the tiers for subscribers, you also have access. And then Legatus Navium concierge level backers. Those are the ridicu whales. Looking at you, Algrid. Those are the really top end. I think is it $25,000? Legatus Navium, right? The right top end. Okay. Wave 2 goes down to Praetorian, whatever level down that is. And the next top active players rated by hours. Okay, so what we lack a little bit of information here. So a couple of things that we lack. We don't know what level you've got to be at. And by level I mean, how many hours are we talking? Like, if it's 100 players in the top, or 1,000 players in the top active players, okay, what's the minimum amount of hours we're looking at? Because they've got access to that information. They could release that if they wanted to. So give us an idea. Because I know then, as someone who works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, I know whether or not it's even reasonable for me to aim at that with everything else that I've got to do as well. Wave 3, next level down again, so the next to active levels, and then Wing Commander, Space Marshal, and Grand Admiral. So those are the first 3 levels above the first concierge. So you get concierge at $1,000. Yeah, the next 3 levels up are Wave 3. Wave 4, next top active again, and the first level of concierge backer. Okay, and then Wave 5 is to everyone. Now, they have qualified a couple of this, and they've said that a couple of things, they expect some of this to happen almost the same day. So you might get 2 waves in the same day, 2 more waves the following day for it to be very, very quick. But what they're looking for here is more sustained players. So that's what they've said. Obviously, let's just have a scroll through some of the Spectrum stuff, because of course everyone's got their own. So the top rated comment: it's understandable to want people to be active on PTU servers, but you've taken the problem backward. You just need to give players a reward based on their activity to motivate people to go and test PTU on a regular basis, and not just to the top 3. I don't know where he's got 3 from, especially since you seem to have access to the number of hours played per player. I think from there, I think what he's assumed is it's the top 3. I think that's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of players per tranche, right? But I've got nothing to back that up. But if you're trying to load test, that would make sense, right? Yeah, Edison, if you're able to, that would be great. Wing Commander is, so yeah, 15,000 as Praetorian, $10,000 as Wing Commander. So let's just look at those. So Praetorian, $15,000 for Wave 2. 10,000 for Wing Commander, whatever Space Marshal, I'd imagine it's something like 7.5, probably 5 and 1, or 5 and 2, or whatever it is. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought, AV. That's what I thought. Sometimes they give the top 3 players, but for stress testing, I don't think 3 players is going to cut it. I think there's going to be a lot more. Okay. And they say here what I was going to say, right? Which is, I want my stats. Which makes sense, right? That's great. So just going down, there was one comment that I saw that I really quite liked. Where are you, sir? Nebel's quite good on the forums, and he said, "I like the fact that playtime and activity play a bigger role in the selection of PTU waves. Whether you really need 5 waves instead of 3 is debatable, but that can be adjusted. It would be important that all players see transparently how much playtime they have in total, as well as in the current patch, and how much they need to access a particular PTU wave. I'm not at all a fan of keeping such data secret, as this is not fair in an open and player-funded development." And agree 100%, he's bang on. My first suggestion would be give every player access to their playtime, and implement a progress system. So, yeah, so you can log into your hangar, see your playtime, and say, currently, you would be in wave whatever, right, based on your activity. Okay? So I think that makes sense. John Mortimer says, top 3 players get some free ship. I think Void Dude got a 400i. Yeah, I think he's confusing kind of the top players with like the leaderboards from like Star Marine and a Marina Commander and stuff. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that limited. Shinobi Trip says, I think at a minimum the rep you earn in PTU should carry over into the PU. That would incentivize people to play. Currently it's wasted time unless you're actively trying to test the game. Interesting that you picked up on that, mate. We're going to come back to that. And John, yeah, agrees with Shinobi. Notorious says, never thought I'd live to see a reasonable and agreeable post on Spectrum. I really have see it all now. When you say reasonable and agreeable, do you mean Nebel or the CIG one, Notorious? Nebel's second point is, my second point is the division of the concierge levels. I think it's moronic. You can't say to people who have paid 1,000 or more into the game and have been able to play PTU Wave 1 for years, sorry, you didn't pay enough. We're taking away your privileges now. And even if that's not your intention, that's exactly how it comes across. Okay? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm concierge for 1 Nebel. Sorry, yes. And he says, my third point is about the subscription. This is a tricky one because the solution you have now presented is tantamount to early access battle pass, which is not well received by the community. Pay $10 and you get to test the new features sooner than the people who won't pay money. This kind of thing doesn't belong in an open development, and I already found this annoying before. My suggestion is move the subscriber wave further back. Okay, so this is where Nebel and I diverge in our ideas. But I don't want to get in that yet because I don't want to kind of colour anyone's thoughts. All I will say, please, and I know I don't have to say it with you guys, but just in case there's a couple of lurkers in here who haven't been in before, if you're the sort of person that's going to see something on Spectrum that you disagree with because I've discussed it, and you're going to go in there and personally attack that person, you know where the door is. You're not welcome in this community. Everything is up for debate, and everyone is welcome to agree with everyone else. That does not extend to personal attacks, so please, please don't. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. Badges out. Okay. So yeah, there's a couple of things in there that I quite like. There's a couple of things that I don't quite like. A couple of bits that were a little bit strange. So one of them here, more and more aggressive sales techniques. I went from wave 1 to wave 4. I'm supporting with $3,000 and 6 years of my life is not enough. You get smart, and one day the community get tired of your poop. Okay, I've got to say that because I'm getting demonetized for swearing too much on stream. You know, and I just put in there that that's an odd way to react to You Can Be Wave 1 without spending money at all. Funny how people don't like paywalls until they paid for one. Then they defend them to the hilt. Right? So we are, as a community, very much against paywalls, and we should be. Which is bizarre thinking as Star Citizen, because that's all you do. But you can earn everything as well. But you know, the minute someone's paywall privilege gets removed, people get upset. And it's like, well, you can't have it both ways. You can't be against paywalls except for the ones you've paid for. That's paywalls. So you either support them or you don't. It's a little bit disingenuous if you only support the ones that you paid for. Edison says, in my view, they should look more at how much feedback bug reports you have instead of giving just playtime. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Again, because that's something that Execute said, and I'm sure he won't mind me repeating it in here a little later on when we come to talk about those things. But that's something that I want to come on to about the bug testing. So up until now, the focus has very much been that bug testing that you're talking about, Edison. It's been the find something, report it on the issue council. If there's already something there, then you repeat it, you back it up with evidence, you see if you can replicate it. And, you know, if you continue to do that and you're very good at it, you'll get invited into the Eva County test flight. It's as simple as that. But, you know, that's what they're asking. Now what they're talking about is this is a shift to load. So they're not after individual reports as much as they are right now the load testing that exposed the weakness with PES, that completely turned 318 into a dumpster fire. That's what they're after now. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to shift back later on, but the focus up until now, because they haven't really had to load test anything, right? They did a few with Xenothreat. They dropped the player count down to 40, then they increased it up to 100, and they did variable player limits. And they asked us to test that. But that's really the only one that I can remember since I've been playing this from back in solidly from about 2018 onwards, right? So yeah, I think that's where we are at the moment. So an interesting one. But what I want to do now is I just want to switch over very quickly to a little bit of Salty Mike's Answer the Call. I'm going to kill the music. And we're just going to have a quick watch of his stuff. And see what he thinks. So he's literally just, we're 2 minutes 24 in, he's literally just finished his little bit about his channel sponsorship. Let's see what else he's got to say here. And I just want to make sure we've got the right volume level. Let me know. If the volume isn't great, guys, send me a message in there. Just before we start, AV says, think the server meshing issues are making them focus a lot on numbers of players of stress testing. Absolutely. I see, so issue council is still important, but agree it's a bit of a second place for now. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, mate. Let's have a look at what Salty's got to say.
Now getting into what I'm feeling is, well, I think that the previous wave cycle was horrendous. So I've explained this a few times. I will explain it again for the people who are watching this on YouTube. Is previously the wave structure was Evo Kadi members, then Wave 1. And what Wave 1 was Evo Kadi members, which are your quote-unquote your best testers, which that's even arguable. And because I was in it, and you know what? I wasn't the best tester, and I still am in it. I've been very good lately, but for a while I wasn't, because I was working this job and that job, and it just didn't have time to additionally test on top of it. So there's quite a few patches where I wasn't the best. But Wave 1 is Evo members, and then everything else was paid. So it was Evo members, subscribers, and concierge members, which was $1,000 minimum to get in, right? So that's basically how that worked. And I have sounded off on how horrendous I think that is. Horrendous that was. And they finally realized it was too, and decided to make a change. Now we're going to Wave 1 is Evocati members.
Kind of quiet. Shinobi, bear with me 2 seconds, mate. I can fix that. Let me know now how that is. Let me know if that's any better.
The most active people in terms of hours, which is not the best metric in my opinion, because many people will just sit AFK in the previous patch, or hours played doesn't indicate best tester, right? And then they kept the subscribers because they don't want to lose subscribers, which they know they will, because they know they don't give enough value to their subscribers that they will, with the little things like that. And then they're just going to lose subscribers because the main reason...
Too loud now. Wait, when you say too loud, is it because it's too loud or because you don't like what he's saying? I'll knock it down a bit. Let me know.
People probably keep subscribed. It's for the FOMO that they're missing out on Wave 1, which is horrendous. And then $25,000 concierge members. And then it goes down the line and increasingly gets more and more until the last wave, right? Not good. Not good at all. But I will say it's better than what we had before. We want focus testing early, and then you want, what would it be called? Like hammering the server testing. Like lots of people in the game just playing regularly later. That's what they need.
Too salty.
Now, the way that they previously did and have been doing their PTUs is Evocati's a mess, like most people know, but so is Wave 1. And a lot of the times we get to a Wave 1, they are not taking feedback on certain aspects of the game. They are still putting in features in Wave 1. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's not how we should be handling these waves. That's not how we should be handling the PTU test cycle. You should be... By the time we get to Wave 1, all of the features should be in and ready to be gathered feedback on, right? And they are consistently rushing these things out to meet their ship sale schedules or whatever other BS they're trying to do, right? That is bad. So there's many bad things they're doing and not doing a good enough job of. And then on top of that, live is still a testing environment. So my last feeling is if you're going to do this, you need to treat the PTU like a live service, or excuse me, you need to treat the PTU like a testing environment exclusively. But live, the PU needs to be a live service experience. That's how it needs to be. If you're going to go through all this...
So I just need you to say that again. I think I heard what he said.
That is bad. So there's many bad things they're doing and not doing a good enough job of. And then on top of that, live is still a testing environment. So my last feeling is if you're going to do this, you need to treat the PTU like a live service, or excuse me, you need to treat the PTU like a testing environment exclusively. But live, the PU needs to be a live service experience.
Yes. And I think... So I'm just digesting what he said there. So I agree. I think a lot of the arguments there, he said a little bit earlier on, he said about testing for subscribers being something about the value that subscribers do or don't get through the subscriber package. That he feels that CIG are aware that there isn't enough value in the subscriber package, and that's why they tagged access onto the end. I think that's very much a challenge of perception, right? Is that you know, if I give you a talking point, okay, you know, and let's say you're massively Graceful, welcome, mate. I'm gonna get onto your comments in just a couple of seconds. Just let me finish this thought, or I'll lose it. It'll be gone from my head. It's almost just done it there, but it's all right. I'm still on it. If you knew about game development but didn't know anything about Star Citizen per se, right? And I gave you like a debate topic, like at school. Is subscribers having access to the PTU a good thing or a bad thing? Right? This would be, if you were on the side of it's a bad thing, this would be a generic argument you would come up with. Right? And that's not to say that he's wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if you want to look negatively at something CIG offers, that's an easy jump to make, right? The flip side of this, we talk about the idea of there's this minimum buy-in, it's $1,000 for access for the PTU. Yes, okay, that's one way of looking at it. The other way is you as a company need to define a criteria for who's most likely to help you test your game. Well, how about the people who've invested most into it? The people who stand to lose the most if the game doesn't work, or if the game's a very poor product when it's released. Who stands to lose the most out of that? And I think that's where, that's the other side of that coin. It's just two perspectives of the same thing. It doesn't mean that one's correct, one's not. It's just, are you positive or negative looking at this particular point? But our Graceful says, have testers go to game studios. CIG has 5 cities, so there are plenty of testers within driving distance. Train, feed, record them, and most of all, explain to them what feedback you need. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think they certainly could do more to engage with the community. Whether that would be something like that, I don't know, because obviously you can issue or you can get so much of a wider audience, and they do actually put a testing focus on. I think what you're identifying is that the people who want to test are just mixed in with all the people who just want to play the game and get a hand on stuff earlier, right? They get their hands on stuff earlier. And to us, there doesn't seem to be any difference. Obviously, for CIG, they seem to have been getting something out of it because they've only just started to change it now after 4 years. He says, send a dev to an internet cafe in other cities. People volunteer. Bring your laptop for 4 hours on Saturday. Connect to a test server from locations and play together. Yeah, there's definitely other ways that they can do it if they want to. I know they've got in-house testers and all that sort of stuff, which is probably just their code for, the last Friday of every month we spend the afternoon smashing each other around on Arena Commander or Star Marine or whatever. But yeah, absolutely. So let's see a little bit more of what he's got to say.
That's how it needs to be. If you're going to go through all this, that's how it needs to be, because players need to play the game that want to play it, which you clearly have a lot of those, and testers need to test. Right? If you separate those two a little bit better, because what's happening now and what they're calling out as the issues are people are playing the game in the PTU and not testing properly for that.
That bit I don't agree with straight off. That's not what they're calling out at all. They're not calling people out for playing the game. What they've absolutely done as part of this is they've called out people who have access, who log in for a very short space of time, who leave. So you get a lot of people. You get, say, 100,000 people who all want to download it the moment it's available. But of those 100,000 people, towards the end, they're not getting enough people in the game for even a continuous stress test. So that's what they're calling out. So what they're saying is those current levels of people, the Wave 1 Evocati and all that sort of stuff, are potentially not enough to provide consistent results and allow them to test everything that they need to test. Because even if there is at the beginning, towards the end of the PTU, when they've put the fixes in after the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th patch, they're going, well, that might have fixed it, but we're not getting enough calls on that server now to prove whether it is fixed or it isn't. So I guess we'll just have to wait for the for it to go live, like 3.18 did, and then 3.18 just killed everything. Notorious says, in-house testers, the teenage interns locked in a shed. Do you know what? If that was me interning, right, here you go. Here's Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Get in there and play that for a week. Like, where do I sign? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think he's right there. That's not what they're calling out at all. But let's continue.
Them. So that's where we are. Let's jump into the first caller, who is Von Bismarck. Von, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
All right, I hear you loud and clear as well. So what are your feelings on this? Are you kind of with me, or are you feeling maybe I'm a little too pro CIG in this scenario? Because I am getting a lot of kickback on my opinions on this.
When have you never get kickback? But I'm with you on it.
On this show, I think unfortunately on this show, I get too many people agreeing with me.
Well, probably. I don't know. Actually, I do understand why CIG needs to change it. I do agree with you. But I don't understand why do they, like, I don't know, their management is like either smoking crack or something. Because it just seems like they knew the problem and then just kind of messed it up a little bit more.
They botched the solution.
Yeah, like they went down the correct path but tripped all over themselves the way down it, you know? Like, I've done a lot of testing before, and usually testing can be something where it's like, hey, here's a place you can sign up. So people who really want to do testing can sign up here, and they can have 1,000 people, and they can just do a raffle on those people. Hey, we need 500. Here you go, grab 500 of them, put them with Evil Cotty, have them test it out until wave 1. You hear what I'm saying? Like, that way would be a lot easier.
Yes, but what, like, we always have to go back to what they're calling out, is that nobody's testing. They're checking out the new ship, and then they're leaving. So who would join that raffle? Is everybody feeling the FOMO that they're feeling right now that just want to be included?
Well, they have a department dedicated to, like, Q&A. And
so just before we go through that, right, I just want to go back again to what they said. Okay, so what they said here, okay, this is what they called out. Not what he's saying. So he's right there. He said you're calling out the people that just want to check out the new ship. Okay? This is what they actually called out. So if you're reading along, this is where it is. It's the third paragraph. It's the second sentence. Right? He says, we also have come to notice that many players only log in once per PTU, which is exactly what Salty Mike's just said. Exactly the same thing. This led to very high player loads in the first hours of each wave release, combined with comparatively high server costs, okay, but not the sustained playtesting we would have preferred. As a consequence, towards the end of a PTU phase, we sometimes lack the necessary numbers of testers to put the servers under pressure once the most significant bugs had been fixed, right? So they're not saying... The problem here for me, and you guys tell me if you think I'm wrong, is what we're looking at and what we're talking about in the answer to the call is what we were doing before, is issue council. I need people to submit bug reports on this. That's not what CIG is saying here. CIG is saying we don't have enough people to load up the servers. And we know that wherever you are, if you've got players spread out all over the Stanton system, that server's under load because it's having to stream in all of those different locations. The reason the first couple of Xeno threats worked so well is because everyone went there. So you weren't streaming in Area 18 and Crusader and Lawville, you know, Charleston. Those areas weren't streaming in. All you were streaming in was Microtech and the area of the event. And the server was like, well, this is easy. Like, I'm only streaming in a couple of areas. Great. What they need is those players. It doesn't matter whether they're testing specific things or submitting bug reports. That's not what they're saying. You know, and this is why it says here, the team has decided to restructure the PT waves to focus on player activity. The more often you play and the more familiar you are with the game and the mechanics, the earlier we'll invite you to into the PTU. This is not about testing. And it's almost like people went, yeah, that's the management bollocks. Well, that's what they've done. Well, I don't understand what they've done. The senior management must be smoking whatever he said, right? And I probably lost it anyway there, but my monetization. But you see what I mean? So this is the problem for me, is that actually it tends to be a lot of people not really reading what's going on. But what do you guys think? Is that, am I misdiagnosing? Are they misdiagnosing? Monster AV says, I think it was Morth's video, but he kind of talks about the population issue. Playable enough is secondary to testing, in my opinion. If they need to test how the server FPS handles is affected, sorry, it's just jumped around a bit, and they can't maintain it. Okay, sorry, let's get off. It just keeps. There we go. Argosel says stress tests aren't the main problem. Getting the game playable enough to then have a stress test. If you can't get into the game or get trapped in an elevator in 20 seconds, most will log out. Yeah, I think now a lot of that is the stress test, right? Is the game struggling to stream those assets? If you get into a server that's not under load, 20 people or so, it runs great, right? So I think that tends to be why we're having those issues. So as painful as that is, that's the server under load. We might only see 20 seconds of play and then leave, but that means that they're getting the information to go, okay, what's not streaming? Where's the bottleneck? What is not happening that we need to happen? If all your servers are half full, they're not loaded. It's working great for you and I to play, but it's not giving them the information that they need. Notorious says it's not about classic testing, it's about stress testing, and the segmentation gives them 5 steps so they can easily pinpoint when degradation occurs. It makes sense to me. John Mortimer says, yeah, Morph had some good data graphs on server loads. Interesting, we might go and have a look at that then, because that was in there as well. Edison Trent, they right now need to have people for the stress test. You don't know how stuff will break because of the numbers of players. Grayson says, grain breaking rubs get fixed in wave 1, or they should. Yeah, agreed. Okay, so that's where we are at the minute. Let's see what else Von Bismarck's got to say.
And they can have those guys with Evocati and with the raffle guys and just keep checking on them. Like, hey, are you testing out these things? Are you testing out that stuff? If you're not, we're going to kick you out and we're going to select one of those other guys that we didn't, select them within the raffle. And just keep doing it that way until at least you get to tier 1, Like
it's a lot of work to manage.
It would be, but it'd be better kind of not managing it or just leaving it up to a system that's based on cost that you put into the game, which is kind of laughable because it's funny. You said you've done Evocati. I'm on the chairman club and I have yet to be selected for Evocati.
Well, why would you be selected if you're in? That isn't the.
I know.
That has nothing to do with it. Like,
I don't expect
Evo,
it either.
Yeah, Evo's always been. They're essentially like extending the way they handle Evo throughout the entire wave cycle instead of just Evo now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like I don't expect it either.
Yeah.
Like B Meter Chairman doesn't I don't think I'm granted access to Evocati, so I don't even want it at that point. But
well, how do you feel about wave 1 though?
And that's where I'm conflicted. And I agree with you. It's like I get what they're trying to do because they do need people to actually specifically test. And that's always important to get specifically things tested out. So either be fixed or just getting out of the game.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about it. But again, it's just like wave 1 and you're using, the subscription. I don't know how I feel about that either. Cause it's like, I guess people are they doing subscription based on time or can I subscribe now and then get in? Like, how does that work?
I believe the moment you're subscribed, you have a tag. Like, so let's say wave 1 comes out and you're in wave 1 for 3 days. If you subscribe on wave 2, you just get access. Like your account's now flagged as a subscriber and you just can copy your account to PTU and you're good.
That's my
understanding. And that just seems like a money grabbing kind of idea. It's like we need, another way to make money.
I agree, but I feel like it's not a money grabbing idea. It's an attempt to not lose it.
Well,
And I don't think that's the right thing to do. I think they should.
I'm going to dive in here with an unpopular, right? What about being a whale guarantees that you're going to play the game right now? I genuinely don't know. What is it? You see this game and you go, right, I want everything. You spend $25,000 on the big pack with all the ships and go, right, when this game is released, I want everything, so that's what I bought. What is it about being a whale that means you're going to play now? I have a feeling the answer to that is nothing, right? There is no guarantee. You've obviously got an increased interest in the project, but it's possible to have an increased interest in the project and not actually play it, right? So there's that. Okay, fine. So, if we just limit this to concierge, there's no guarantee you're going to get the players. Okay? If you're a subscriber and you're getting monthly in-game perks, as in your subscriber flare, you're getting a ship to try out every month that absolutely does not benefit you unless you are in the game, because a free fly ship is nothing unless you're in the game, right? It means nothing to you. Okay, so yes, you get your discount coupon, but surely with the amount of money you spend on subscribers, you're still spending more money than you save. So what is it about a subscriber that makes them play? What if they're not playing and almost all of their benefits come about as in-game? They'd cancel their subscription, wouldn't they? Unless they're not particularly great with their money, or unless they're just trying to collect subscriber flare. I don't know how many people are doing that. Wouldn't you just not bother? Wouldn't you just log in, if you wanted to do something like that, wouldn't you log in as a subscriber once per year from the subscriber store, pick up all the flair you actually wanted rather than just getting whatever they gave you, and then rinse and repeat? Wouldn't you do that rather than the subscribe and just hope you get stuff that you want? And this is the thing that they're saying, oh, it's money grabbing. All right, but how else do you guarantee that you're going to get players in who want to play the game? And sure, one of those ways is the people who play a lot, but we're not seeing all of their metrics. So they might have this thing where people play, and I think like we would all kind of relate to this probably as players, as you have periods of very high activity where you can't imagine playing anything else, and oh my god, this is great, and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden you stop playing for a while. Now CIG are going to see that too, right? They're going to see players with very, very high use, and all of a sudden it drops off to nothing, and then they build back up, and then it drops off to nothing. So if you just have those top-end players based on hourly use alone, there's nothing to say that there isn't going to be a huge number of them drop off, and then you don't get the players that you want. Having subscribers, they are paying monthly, likely means they're playing monthly. They are more likely to be in your game providing the players for the stress test. And again, this comes back to the perception. Yes, it's also generating money for CIG. Yes, it is also generating value for the subscriber package. It's doing all three. It's not what they're saying there. It's that they're making the same argument. They're just not agreeing as to why. In fact, they are agreeing as to why. They're just phrasing it differently. All those three statements are true at the same time. They're generating value in the package. It's generating cash for CIG, and it's generating active players for CIG to stress test the service. There's nothing in there that means if one of those true, the other two can't be true. Do you see what I mean? And I think this is the thing about perception, and this is the thing sometimes about developers who make some questionable decisions. you will always then have this question of, this is just a money grab. This is just this is just that. And it's easy to just view them from one particular standpoint. We're seeing the same thing. Just seeing different sides of it. So yes, it's generating cash for CID. I'm not pretending that it's not. Yes, it's keeping the subscription count up and the subscription revenue in. They're obviously hoping that it will increase it. I mean, for me, as a Wave 1, as a base level, basic Biatch concierge, if I want to go back to Wave 1, I need to subscribe. And if I want to bring you content that is timely, that isn't a week or two behind everyone else on the new patch, I have to do that now. So, before anyone says, he's just white knighting for CIG, hang on a second. I feel like I'm one of those people who can say, actually, I'm quite disadvantaged by these changes, but I also see why they're doing it. Monster says, if I'm honest, being a whale means little right now, since most of the ships are pixels rather than usable anyway. But you do have a vested interest in the game working and moving forward. Yeah, exactly that. But none of that means that you'll be in the game. You're exactly right. Because if the ship that you really want isn't in, Perseus, you might not be playing as much as you could. Absolutely. Shinobi says, this could be basic psychology too. People want something more when you take it away from them. Yeah, there's certainly an element of that. Taking anything away from people who have invested a lot of money is always a risky proposition. Subscribers, in my opinion, are just a monthly fee in theory. It's just to help offset the server fees. Agree there are only a few months that it matters. I do agree they're trying to show values for subscribers. Yeah, it's exactly that thing, isn't it? All of them are it can be all of these things at the same time. It's easier to be a subscriber than concierge. Yeah, absolutely. And wouldn't your aim, if you're CIG, they would never admit to this, but what does it mean for CIG if it can convert all of its normal users to concierge through subscriptions? If you can get $1,000 worth of subscriptions out of each player, this thing's funded for ever, for a long time, right? So yeah. Carlson, welcome to the stream, my friend. Sorry, welcome to the stream. Good evening, all. Hope you're having a good one. Carlton says, I think they've been struggling to find value to justify subscriptions. Yeah, exactly. That's what Mike's just said. Very, very similar, that they don't want there to be a perceived loss of value of subscriptions. And if they were to remove that from Wave 1, then it would negatively impact, I would suggest, in quite a significant way, their subscriptions. Notorious LB, I'm with AV, very disappointed in the current state of ships. I next foresee logging in to check out the Polaris, but my hopes aren't high. Notorious, that's a shame to hear, but yeah, I completely see where you're coming from. But Soriak says they could have the same players without subscriptions if CIG played the reward card based on regular and quality reports. Yeah, Soriak, this is interesting. Like we said, it's what they're trying to do now has nothing to do with reports. The testers they need are there to load test, to put the servers under constant sustained strain. They're not getting that with the old system. So yeah, that's what they're after now. The argument here, as I was talking, the argument that I thought, the counter argument to my own point about subscriptions and if you wanted to people who could play, is just expand how many people playing by hours you have. So, rather than saying, okay, we're going to have the top 10% of people who play by hours, have the top 15%. Rather than the top 15%, have the top 20%. And then have each wave as 20% of players. And so on and so forth. Because I don't. The interesting thing here, and I think we can say this safely, right, is CIG own no access whatsoever. If we're just lurking, if we're not playing, and this is me, since 3.18, I've hardly played. I tried to log in last weekend twice. It booted me out before I got out of the accommodation twice. So that was enough for me. But I don't then expect access to any of the testing environment. So, Yeah, what's He says it's in the financials, but it's a month or something behind. Not easy to find. Sorry. Sorry, do we have metrics of how much money is brought in by subs? Yeah, we kind of do, although it's not per month, mate. So I'm just going to go Cloud Imperium. Let's have a look. So let's have a look at Cloud Imperium then. Clink. Right. So if we go to latest, that was when they acquired Turbulent. Here's the financials. Okay. So this is their breakdown. When you see these graphs and stuff, this is their breakdown. So this is their income. I don't know if you can see that. It is quite, and unfortunately the zooming in doesn't really help either. But I'll zoom in a little. Hopefully that helps a bit. So subscriptions is in pink. So what we've seen is gradually an upward trend. So this is in thousands. So 35,000 was there. 948,000 was there. Then it jumped to 2 million, 2.4, 2.6, 3, 3.2, 3.6, 4.6, and 4.9. And that's for 2021. That's the year. Financial year ending, I think ending 2021. Yeah. So that's that, right? So there's how much they're getting. So there is an upward trend through all of this stuff. Eminence, good to see you, but welcome. I hope you're having a good weekend. So yeah, Carlton says, I'm one of those concierge players who logged in the PTU, checked it out, and then waited for live. I don't really blame CIG for this change. No, that's really interesting, Carlton. Me either. I did very much the same thing. I would log in for one thing, and have a look, and then that would be pretty much me. The subscriptions line is the value of our subscriptions using standard exchange rates. Again, any differences due to exchange rate movements have been accounted for in the final income line. Okay, so, and then it's got their costs. If you ever see their pictures of how many people they've got working for them, their investments, all that sort of stuff, that's it there, right? So there's your head count, 748 in 2021, so on and so forth. Yeah, so any of that stuff, Cloud Imperium Games is really quite useful to have a behind the scenes look from their corporate stuff. But yeah, that's where that is. Okay. If you want more detailed one, as soon as a bot scrubs there's changes. Mactan and Lemming were talking about it in the info runners Discord. Oh, okay. That's cool. But yeah, that's the information that we have. So let's have a little bit more from Von Bismarck and Salty, and then what I might do is just scrub through quickly to see get a feel for a couple of other views.
Should eat
here.
Eat the shit that they have put out for
Yes.
for all these years and have done it wrong. You should suffer from the mistakes that they made.
Yeah, and just that's the one thing where it's like accountability and admitting. I mean, if they would have came out and say, "Hey, we're going to redesign the way we're doing this," what is your feedback? Like how? There was none of that. It kind of just came out of nowhere on this whole new redesign for testing, and again, they messed up without hearing feedback, and now they're getting the feedback, and I'm sure they're pulling their hair out, thinking they did a great job in the first place. You know, I'm sure a lot of guys were high-fiving each other before they posted it, saying, "This is gonna be good,"
as they always do. And then we come back and go, "What are you talking about?" And then they get mad at us.
Yeah, and that's the one thing where I'm so surprised because from your show, from countless of others, and from people on Spectrum, there's a lot of people who want to give feedback before they do something.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they don't take the opportunity to say, "Hey,
This is what interests me, and this is the final comment I'll do with the Von Bismarck stuff, and we'll move on to the next caller. We can't have it all ways. Who is arguing that the pace of development at the moment is quick enough? If they go through this feedback period, and then they have to respond to it, how much time is that adding? And also, they as a company know what they need to do to test their way through the next section of their game. They don't need feedback to go, well, there's no amount of feedback in the world that is going to go, actually, what we don't need to do is stress the servers ahead of server meshing, which is what's going to happen all the time. No, let's get some feedback on the signage around New Babbage instead. Like, they're not asking for feedback, they're asking for sustained weight on the servers. And this is the problem, is that people have to be... I'm not aiming at this at anyone in particular, right? I'm pointing at my screen because that's what I'm looking at. But this isn't against Salty Mike, this is not against Von Bismarck, this is not against anyone like that. This is the community as a whole. Is that this is games, and we are not normally used to looking at games this closely as a project. We're looking at games like it's something we want to enjoy, it's something we spend our spare time doing. We hate paywalls. The only thing that gamers hate more than things not changing is things changing. Right? The only thing we hate for more than no development is development. It's quite crazy. CIG know what they need to do to get to server meshing. That is the focus. What exposed the gaps in PES was a lot of people trying to get on all at once, right? For everything that we hated, and we all hated it, right? I stopped playing with 3.18. That's how much I hated that experience, right? And I love this game. Hated it. And I can't bring myself at the moment. I still can't bring myself to get back into the game right now. 2 disconnections was all it took for me to go, that's it, I'm not playing anymore, and go and play something else. We're not looking at this as evidence-based, and one of the things that I do often, because of my background being military, my background being search and rescue, everything is evidence, 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 evidence. What are you reacting to? What is the intended effect? How are you going to achieve that effect, right? Whether it's the application of force with the military, or whether it's trying to find someone who's fighting for their life in the water, right? It's the same set of questions. So I've got here 7 or 8 tabs open, right, across the top. Yeah? I've got 7 or 8 tabs open, yeah, and half of them are about... I open these, I got these here because they keep mention load testing. Right? So this has been going since before, so this is the day, I think, the day before or the day of the launch of 3.18. They've been telling us for 2 patches this was going to happen. In not so many words, yeah, but it's things like here. To uncover new and unforeseen issues which may result in things like server degradation, lost or duplicate items, and other similar issues. Yeah, and this one was before they knew what was going on, right? And then all of a sudden, after that, so you can see here, March 9th. Next one, March 21st. Okay, here you go. So, this is where they go. One issue that has been negatively impacting our database is the large number of entitlement calls being made for player vehicles at initial startup. To alleviate this, we're implementing a solution, blah, blah, blah. The change we are making affects how you obtain your vehicle when logging into the game for the first time. Instead of being immediately entitled to your home game location, you get the deliverable. And that's the change in the ASOP terminal where it's delivered, right? And that's the tiny change. But, you know, this thing, they did not foresee that huge number of entitlement calls being made for player ships. That only came because of the wait. Then we go on to the wait of players. Let's go on to the next one. March 29th. Okay, there's something in here about load testing. Unfortunately, I've not left it highlighted as where that is. We would like to share an update regarding our plans for 3.18 patch releases. Fundamental change to our testing process with the objective of shortening the deliverable to live. Okay, so this was that, and then they talk about, while load testing has always been a part of our process, we are making changes to incorporate this new method of locking and doing final load testing internally for all future releases. Set of updated load testing tools. This is all load testing. And I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir with you guys, and no one's kind of saying that I'm wrong and I'm being mental. That's it, armchair quarterbacks, exactly that. He says in his nice new gaming chair. I feel personally attacked by this. One of the issues with the issue council is they don't tell us the status or what kind of things caused it. So when we have a similar issue, we think it's back, and then they go, no, we fixed it. It's a new issue. Yeah, not ideal, unfortunately. But yeah, so there isn't that feedback. But this is, and again, I think there's one more in there that I've got. Yeah, another one, and I'll just very quickly. Here we go. As we play, so we go. If you're one of the ones who said this is the worst Star Citizen has ever been, then hold our beer, as we plan to launch a free fire event starting Thursday. Yeah. It allows us to test the game's infrastructure with a large number of players. That's April. So within the space of a month and 3 days, 5 separate posts all talk about load testing. More players, load testing tools, more people on, unforeseen issues because of server load. And they've now switched over. And because we don't really think about it, we have been used to, for the last 4 years, the testing being about specific issues and issue council and all the sort of this stuff. And it only takes a couple of minutes to figure out that's not the case. We're stepping towards server meshing now. Now it's about servers talking to each other and making sure they pass all the right information to each other. And when's the most stressful time for it to do that? When there's 1 player on each server or 1,000 players on each server. Imagine 1,000 players on a server, right? But you get my point. And this is the thing, is it feels very much like, this is, you say armchair quarterbacks, right? And I'll use this phrase from the military. This is armchair generals talking about the tactics on a front, and it's like, all right, from your massively, from your huge and decorated background in Command and Conquer generals, you're going to tell us why the Ukraine counterattack isn't working. Is that the general premise of this video? We don't get it. And, he says they're clapping themselves on the back and it's coming as a shock. No, they're not. That hold my beer moment is the whole, we know you guys are going to flip your shit and we don't care. Because it's not about now the individual council. It's not about your game performance at this particular moment. What it's about is load testing stuff. And this is why at the time I said to people, we've got to be prepared. This is going to happen again. Right? Because at the bottom line, this is a company trying to put out a product that is nowhere near finished. And sometimes some people are going to have their feelings. I love the way that Mike looks sad as I'm saying this. But sometimes some people are going to have their feelings trampled on in the name of progress. Right? And this is it. So let's see if we can find now. I'm just skipping through to see if we can find another name. Sorry, Bismarck. It was really interesting comments from yourself, buddy. But I just want to try and get a few more people on because we are quite a way into this section of the video. So, Von Bismarck.
Testatastic. There we go. I'm putting your name in now, so it'll be a little...
Changing everything with PTU, I was just in Concierge because I just got into Concierge maybe a couple months ago. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll be Wave 1. And I was Wave 1 for 318. And then hearing you and other people talk about it, I didn't do any testing. And why do I want to be in Wave 1? I want to go play other games while people are doing the hard work of helping fix stuff in Wave 1.
It's FOMO, man. You're just feeling the FOMO. That's all.
Yeah. And that's why I see a lot of people get upset about Star Citizen. It's the state of the game. I'm like, yeah, you guys can go play other stuff. You can pay attention. That's what I do. I watch videos. I watch content, see how it is. Mm-hmm. But then I go play other stuff. I don't want to get super burnt out, get super upset, getting too fed into the loop because it's a self-feeding cycle.
Sure.
At times.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I'm just eating popcorn and just absolutely taking it all in and just giggling at all this is the instant reaction of, oh, you're taking my thing away that I never used in the first place. And it's just like, what you ever? It reminds me of a child that like they weren't playing with the toy, but once you wanted to like put it away, then they want to play with it.
Yeah, well, no one likes having stuff taken away that you had before, especially because they didn't put out that developer. I'm dropping his name. Who put out the explanation of why they did it, like the day after. I felt like similar with the previous caller and Morph, if they put that out same day or even had graphs saying, "Hey, here's all the people who were in Wave One. Of like the 100%, maybe 20 were actually playing more than 10 hours per like patch or something." And I'm like, guys, we need to have better stuff because I know they haven't fully published the 318 postmortem saying, here's all the bugs that we missed, but because we missed them, because all these people who were supposed to be in there were there for maybe one day, and that's why.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Is 4 weeks now since they said we'll see it soon. 5? Yeah. What is this?
My personal theory.
5 weeks until we see it soon. Rewind to the previous clip we saw. Don't release it until it's ready.
Theory for that is just it's holding off. They know we're in a kind of like a drought right now. CitizenCon's coming up. They want to probably have this release closer to September. That way to kind of keep up the news cycle, get people back in the game, and then CitizenCon will be right after that.
Maybe they're waiting for Wave 1?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the 318 postmortem, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about 320 in general, but yeah.
I mean the postmortem.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one kind of pisses me off because they put the game through it in 318. We're still technically playing 318. It's been bad. So what happened and where are we and where are we going? Because there's a lot of the PES stuff that I would love to hear about and what our experience will be in the next few patches rather than nothing at all. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else on, like, are you going to subscribe? Do you how do you just more of, I guess, how you feel about everything?
If I were to subscribe, it'd probably be for like the monthly flare. I probably wouldn't do extra testing. There's so many games coming out this year, man, and like I haven't even started Baldur's Gate.
Oh, jeez, yeah, hurry up! You have what 22 days until something like that until Starfield.
Yeah, and then Armored Core 6 comes out, which I'll be playing that as well. Yeah. Now there's a lot.
Yeah, so an interesting one from Testastic. I like his thought process. Actually, he's quite he seems quite upbeat about it, and honest that it wasn't his thing. Just go through a couple of your comments then. Mount Stoner says most people don't actually care about it until you tell them they can't have it. Yeah, I'd imagine that was just before they said it as well, right? Perfect analogy and entitlement processing. Yeah, exactly that. Fear Fox, good evening. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, there's loads coming out, and I've seen really good stuff. Funny you should say that, AV, about Cyberpunk. I'm seeing really good stuff about that DLC. Apparently the city feels a lot more like they said it was going to feel, and all that sort of stuff. So that's looking really, really positive. So I'm pleased that is the case. Payday 3, yeah, and Starfield. I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to get the collector's edition. I still, it's a lot of money for a game. But I suppose you do get a digital watch with it as well, right? But let's see what the next caller has to say.
Race, so we're good.
Cool. So how are you feeling on all this?
Mike, I don't care.
That's one way.
And he doesn't care. There you go. We're done. I love it. That's it. I love that. That's the answer. But yeah, he does not care. That's perfect. Is that Sick Mike and Nico? Sick Mike and Nico? Yeah, like that.
Wave
15.
3. Wave 3. That's where I'm guessing it. We'll see you. All right, board users will know Vendez. Welcome to the show, man. How are you feeling about all this stuff?
Hmm. You were calling for someone to disagree with you, and I thought that was the call to me. So
Okay.
I would drop by. I think you're too focused on how this is a step up, because it looks to me as if CIG replacing one broken thing with another broken thing. That's my opinion on that.
Yes, and I don't disagree with that at all. I'm more focused on the that it is a better thing because literally everybody else is focused on the number $25,000.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But they had, I just looked up how it was before the change, and they had Wave 2 doing pretty much exactly what they are doing now across all the waves, bringing
Yeah.
in the active backers across all game modes,
Mhm.
and they didn't use this tool that they had. And they didn't really
Effectively,
use it.
right?
Yeah, like it was very short from what I can tell, and that it was only a small number.
Wave
I
one
played,
was always the longest wave.
yeah,
Is
and
the
I
problem?
played really, yeah, I played really actively during some of the patches and didn't make Wave 2. So the it can only be a small number of people from what I can tell
Wait,
in
you're
Wave
not
2
in
for
wave
this year.
two.
I wasn't in Wave 2 before, right? And I played really actively, like hundreds of hours on time. I don't know how small the number was for Wave 2, but I didn't make Wave 2. I
What?
think I
I don't
made
know
it
if you.
once.
I don't know if you could see my face now, but the like just in the conversations we've had on Discord and the amount that you have to play to have earned because a lot of the conversations Vendez and I have had about were like I earned all these ships in the game and so on, or we've had those. You can't play the game a little and achieve the things you've achieved.
Right.
So that's so surprising.
Yeah. So maybe I missed it, and I had access once. I think I had access once really early in the 316 era or something. But
Okay.
I played so actively during 318, for example, and yeah, we have to see if I make an early wave now, because it's the last two patches, and I have been pretty active in both these recent patches. So we
I
will
would
see.
imagine, yeah. I would imagine you would be in wave one, but I would. When we do get the wave one of 320, definitely like at me on Discord or something like that, and let me know if you got in because I'm curious.
I would also like to take the opportunity to respond to Sigme a bit.
Okay.
And I think we are not in the luxurious situation that we can just move on and do something else in the meantime, because a poor PTU performance affects those who are interested in playing live. We have seen that in 318 when they CIG allegedly didn't get enough people to test on the open PTU, so this was no longer a wave thing, and they I think they were not perfectly honest about it, because I was on the open PTU in 318, and some of the problems, like the broken ASOP terminals, they were already present in those patch.
Very
On
present.
the PTU.
Yes.
Yeah. And what happened on the PTU was, at least what I saw happening on the PTU was that people realized they couldn't spawn their ships, tried it like 3 times, and then they gave up and moved on to play something else or go to the PU and play there where the ASOP terminals were not broken. And then they didn't test on the PTU. So something was really wrong about how the PTU was handled by CIG, in my opinion. They didn't provide really an incentive to deal with this broken patch on the PTU. Then they didn't get the participation on the PTU, and then the PU players had to deal with it because they were rolling out 318 in a state that was not ready. So we can't really say, oh yeah, let's do something else while this is going on the PTU, because it comes back to us if we are interested in playing Star Citizen on the PU at all, right?
I don't know how I'm gonna loop it around to this, but I'm curious what you think. Like it's ridiculous for me to do this, but do you think it would be beneficial if the Star Citizen video content wasn't so focused on making everything look so pretty, being in a fucking spaceship and interviewing developers about what they did 15 years ago, or spending time on saying, hey guys, these are the specific issues, this is where we are in the testing environment, like the fact that there should be a segment on SCL every week going over these things, or in ISC every week going over these things, is how I look at it. Why are
I got to say right there, absolutely. Right, he is bang on. Yes, have the pretty, the only constant, and have the pretty stuff. But, a separate call, a separate video, because it's not masses of video, right? They were getting, what, $4 million a year with subscribers. Now, what they initially said with subscribers was that money was going to go and fund all of the video content that we had, so that we had, loads of engagement with the project, and we need that. Yeah, we need that kind of. Edison saying the same thing. That's the part I agree with. We need that engagement for those that are interested. If you're not interested, you don't go watch it. If you're not someone who gets into the PTU and does all the testing, then you wouldn't be in there. But for the people who want to know, the people who want to get involved with the testing, who want to not just be part of the stress test, but want to be these people that go find the issue council and go and target problems, and maybe even work up to be part of the Evocati flight. Yeah, why wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? You need that content as well. Also, this idea of taking breaks from videos. Videos can be pre-recorded. You don't need to take breaks. This isn't like we're not talking about the live stuff on the weekends. You can even do that pre-recorded if you need to, which they have done in the past. So 100% there. I think again what Vendez is talking about. The problem with the ASOP terminals already being there, yes, but they're not getting enough data points to figure out what it was. I would imagine what happened to figure this out is they're trying to figure out what the problem is with the ASOP terminals. So they're looking within the game client, and they can't figure out what the problem is. And then all of a sudden, there's 200,000 calls to the server that deals with, is that really your ship? Are you entitled to it? That server crashes, which is not in the game. It's part of all the back end stuff, which is, different services, that sort of thing. And all of a sudden someone goes, wait, I think that's why that crashed. It's not the game. It's the bottleneck to the separate server that is only in the US at the moment. And that becomes a bit of a shock. John Mortimer says, think we need to look at how they roll out the major patches to live, possibly go for a staggered rollout. Half the problems and crashes come from people trying to load all of their ships at once. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what they've done with the ASOP terminals now, is that they are deliverable, and you ask them to be delivered to a location rather than them just being attached to your location. So you don't have to fly to a station and insurance claim them. So they have alleviated that problem, so they reassure us. Notorious says, a lot of the shows seem like complete fluff at times. Too much distraction. Get down to brass tacks and tell us what is going on under the hood. Yeah, exactly that. All that stuff about... the shiny stuff, fine. If you're going to do deep dives into people's history, fine. But you can do more. That is absolutely not $4.5 million worth of content. I'm sorry, it just isn't. So yeah, an interesting point.
Do you think if we utilized all of the avenues of communication, we would have better experiences with the PTU, I guess? Because I was just thinking, you got to...
Yeah, so I'm gonna end that because that's 90 minutes on this pretty much now. So that's quite a significant amount of content on that. But yes, that's definitely kind of mirroring a lot of my thoughts, opposed to them in other ways. I think that people are still focused on the issue council stuff. That is not what they're after. We've done that to death. The problem with and I don't mean this to be nasty, but the reason Board Gamer is so popular and all he's doing effectively is rehashing the information from the comlink and passing that information out, is that people don't read. Gamers don't like to read, right? You've got to be a particular brand of gamer to be doing that. all these things that are coming as a shock. That's why content creators for the game are so prolific and have that, is you pull this news together, you let people know, because then people don't need to go look for it, you just go and watch your favorite creator, and they give you the information. But this information is out there to look. The fact that that initial post says that they're switching the focus to load testing, and people are still talking about submitting. People aren't, just because you're in the game doesn't mean that you're testing it. Well, that's what a stress test is. That's exactly what a stress test is. You don't have to be doing any particular thing. You've just got to be in and forcing the game to load things around you. That's it. That's kind of... So, yeah, a little bit frustrating. Right, so on to the Squadron 42 stuff then. The second kind of segment that I was going to do is I've come to ChatGPT. This is build 3, GPT-3, and we're just going to I've asked it, so I asked it to at the top, can you present the game Squadron 42 as a text-based adventure for me to play? Can you do that again, but let me choose the options, please? So it basically played the entire adventure for you. So I want to do this with you guys supporting. So your preferred number in chat, please. Okay? So I'm going to read out the options. You find yourself aboard the USS Valiant, an advanced starship. You've just completed your basic training and are about to join Squadron 42. As you stand in front of the starship's captain, you're given your first assignment. Welcome aboard, rookie. We've received reports of a distress signal coming from the Epsilon Prime sector. It's your first mission. Your decisions will affect the outcome. Are you ready? And our options are, number 1, absolutely, Captain. I'm ready for anything. Bow chicka wow wow. 2, I'm a bit nervous, but I'll give it my best. Number 3, I'm not sure. Can I have more information? Okay, so while we're talking, let me know 1, 2, or 3. What am I going to put in there? But yes, so just very quickly then, I used, one of the things I get asked is why don't you use ChatGPT 4? Really, really simple. Firstly, you've got to pay for ChatGPT 4. And second, you are limited to 25 questions every 3 hours. So that's why I don't use it. Because I get carried away and then go, shit, that's my 25 questions. So if you do this plus bit, so if we go to a new chat, it says it here. Available exclusively to Plus users. Yeah, if you want to upgrade to Plus, that's $20 a month. No thanks. Yeah, and then it says here, GPT-4 currently has a cap of 25 messages every 3 hours. So when people say, why don't you use 4, that's why. Okay, so Squadron 42, we've got a bunch of 1s there and a number 2 from Edison. 1 it is then. Okay, absolute Captain, I'm ready for anything. You arrive at the Epsilon Prime sector to find a crippled transport ship, the SS Athena, drifting in space. The ship's captain contacts you. Squadron 42, thank the stars you've arrived. We're under attack by unknown hostiles. Our engines are offline and we need immediate assistance. Do we, 1, engage the hostiles and protect the Athena? 2, board the Athena and assess the situation, or stay cautious? Number 3, scan the hostiles before taking any action. What are we going to do now? Okay, Eminence in Shadow, thank you ever so much for making my point about gamers not wanting to read. Eminence in Shadow's just gone, 3 makes it sound like it would make us have to read more. You're not even doing the reading, I'm doing the reading. Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, so Notorious is going for multiple options at once. That's not how this game is played, Notorious. So, is it 1 or 3? So we've got lots of 3. So we've gone from I'm ready for anything to verify range to target, 1 ping only. Edison and Mount Stunner want to go in and start engaging the hostiles. What are we going to do? So I've got 3 votes for scanning, 2 votes for engage the hostiles. Nobody. We've now we're on a draw. Soriak, thank you very much, mate. Have a good night. All the best, and thank you for joining in stream. Hope to see you again soon, buddy. So 3 for this one. Oh, graceful. 1. We're still at a draw. That's 4 each. No, Edison, you don't get to vote multiple times. Okay. So, my option would be, let's go for stay cautious. Just because I think on the previous one, when it did the whole thing, it did the engage. So let's do something different. Okay, let's go for the choice. We'll probably break it now and it'll be like, no, I need you to choose something else. There you go. Yep, Dark Star 3. So we're going to go for 3. We're going to scan. Oh, this is quite clever. As you stay cautious and scan the hostiles, you discover that the alien ships appear to be heavily armed and ready to engage. Your scanners show no immediate signs of communication attempts from their end. Meanwhile, a team boards the Athena and discovers wounded crew members. We need medical assistance. The aliens attacked without warning. So, are we going to focus on defeating the aliens? The crew can wait. That's option 1. Option 2, send a medical team to aid the crew members. Option 3, try to establish communication with the aliens. What's the, what are we going to go for? So, options again. 1, focus on defeating the aliens. The crew can wait. Number 2, send a medical team to aid the crew members. And number 3, try to establish communication with the aliens. Okay, so we're getting a nice spread now. We've got John Mortimer and Avi saying 1, defeat the aliens, ready to go. Because they are heavily armed and they are ready to engage. But we're also getting a request for medical assistance. Okay, and they've shown no interest in establishing communications. Edison wants to establish communications with them. So does Darkstar, so does Notorious. Eminence and Shadow, Carlton are opting for the sending medical teams. It looks like we've got more people wanting to try and establish communications. Voting closes in 3, 2, 1. Oh, our Graceful's come in. That's now 4. Establishing communication with the aliens. So that's what we're going to do. Let's establish communications. You decide to try and establish communication with the aliens in hopes of preventing further conflict. You send out a series of encoded signals in the hopes they will respond. After a tense few moments, you receive a faint response indicating their willingness to communicate. Alien transmission translates as, we detect your attempts at communication. State your intentions. 1, we come in peace and seek understanding. 2, we demand you cease your hostilities immediately. 3, we are here to protect our territory, leave or face the consequences. What do we think? Medical, while enemies are watching and waiting, is asking for it, says Avi. Eminence and Shadow says, now that we know our allies need help, we have to give them help. Interesting. Edison has gone for 3. We are here to protect our territory, leave and face the consequences. Notorious, he's changed his mind now. Notorious and Edison have gone for, we demand you cease hostilities. Mount Stunner and Eminence, and Darkstar, he says, as the Star Trek fan, we come in peace and seek understanding. So, we've got 3 for the come in peace and seek understanding. We got 2 for the demand you cease your hostilities. And John Mortimer has chosen violence this morning. He's gone with, we are here to protect our territory, leave or face the consequences. Okay. So, are we even in our territory, says Avi. I assume so. So we've got 1, 2, 3 for 2. We've got 2 for 1 and 2 for 3. So it's 2. We demand you cease your hostilities immediately. Your firm demand for them to cease hostilities causes a tense pause, but then the aliens respond with surprising openness. Alien diplomat says, "We have misunderstood your intentions. We apologize for our actions. Our sensors interpreted your stress signal as a threat." Interesting. Nicely done. I like this. Okay, good. So the sod off or leave or face the consequences might not have been the best in this. Although, it's still a fair response if they've come and attacked. So our options are this. For number 1, apologise and offer to help repair the damage caused. 2, propose a joint effort to explore new diplomatic relations. Or 3, insist on reparations for the damage that they have done. What are we going to go for this time? This is chapter 5, the unraveling truth. So Edison reckons we go a joint effort to explore new diplomatic relations. So does John Mortimer, so does Mount Stammer, and AV, and Eminence. See, I would just be like, give me loot, give me money for the damage that they've done, but I'm not passing it on to the Athena. That is a unanimous 2 through all. This is clearly not the Vandal. Yeah, so diplomacy. Again, what would Star Trek do? Lose the fight, and then there'll be an entire episode about them running away. Cool. Okay, so propose a joint effort to explore new diplomatic relations. That's what we're going for. Your proposal for a joint effort to explore new diplomatic relations is met with cautious optimism from the alien diplomat. Through your efforts and communication, an understanding is reached between humanity and the alien species. As a result, the tension subsides and both sides agree to a... Hang on. 2 seconds. Before we finish this, I feel like we need some sort of... We need some sort of background music to that. Congratulations, you successfully navigated the challenges of your first mission in Squadron 42, the Galactic Chronicles. Your ability to prioritize communication and cooperation has not only prevented a potential conflict, but also established a foundation for a new era of intergalactic relations. Your wise decisions have earned you recognition within Squadron 42, and your journey as a spacefaring hero continues. Thank you for playing this text-based adventure. If you'd like to embark on more chapters and face new challenges, feel free to let me know. Your choices will continue to shape the destiny of the galaxy. Of the verse, obviously. But nice. I feel like we should all be. Nice. I mean, it's not quite Star Citizen because, you know, we didn't disconnect in the middle of that. But, you know, that's pretty good, right? Do I get my F8 now? No. Absolutely not. No, you can't have it. Okay. We might be able to steal their ships when they don't expect it. Edison's choosing violence. Damn, no pew pew, lol. Okay, so what do you think? Should we have should we try another chapter, or should we give that a go in Star Citizen itself? I feel like another Squadron 42 one. Let's see. Let's see if it will let us do. I'd like to try the next chapter in this story, please. This is kind of cool, right? Yeah, that's it. No, that's how long the actual Squadron 42 is in time. About 7 minutes. Chapter 7, Shadows of Betrayal. Well, that tells us how this story is going to go, right? With your successful negotiation and diplomacy skills, you've gained the respect of your fellow Squadron 42 members. Okay? You're called to investigate a distress signal emanating from an abandoned research station in a remote sector of the galaxy. Upon arrival, you find the station systems offline and no immediate signs of life. Computer system. Welcome to Research Station Delta 7. Warning, critical systems failure detected. Life signs minimal. Okay, so your options are 1. Search for survivors. Assess the station's condition. Number 2. Activate emergency power and restore station systems. Or number 3. Proceed with caution and investigate the cause of the system failures. Well, I mean, number 1 is like, let's just go in there and hopefully there's no big gribbly to eat me or imminent, kind of systems overload. Activating power might give them all the oxygen back straight away that going over won't. But then again, if it was a system that was causing this in the first place, give that system too much power, it might explode anyway. Or do we proceed with caution? What do we reckon? Search for survivors, activate emergency power, or proceed with caution? 1, 2, or 3. The choice is in your hands. So, Notorious and Edison have opted for 2. Activate the emergency power and restore station systems, preferably from a safe distance. AV reckons we go with 3. Proceed with caution. Investigate the cause of the system failures. John Mortimer agrees with AV. Darkstar has decided to search for survivors and assess the station's condition. I'm not going to lie, that's what I'm going to go for as well, is number 1. So we need a tie break. Okay, so Graceful has gone with 2. Eminence and Mount Stun has gone with 1. Okie dokie. So Search for Survivors, I think, has just pipped it by 1 more, including my vote. We have 2 votes for Proceed with Caution, 3 votes for Activate Emergency, and 4 votes. Shinobi says, I like potential explosions. You saved it right. Yeah, quick save. Didn't work. Let's search for survivors. Here we go. Secrets of the Void. As you search the station, you come across scattered equipment, flickering lights, and signs of a struggle. Your squad discovers a few survivors hiding in a sealed room. They appear to be scientists and researchers, terrified and relieved to see you. Are they hot? Scientists, thank the stars you're here. We were attacked by an unknown force. They came out of nowhere and their technology was beyond anything we've seen. Okie dokie. So, our options now that we've rescued these scientists, who are obviously all exceedingly hot. Gather information from the survivors about their attackers. Escort the survivors back to our ship for medical attention, or secure the station and set up defenses in case of another attack. So, gather information. That could help, but it also means that we're separated from our ships. Ships either on the landing pad or just outside. Escort the survivors back to our ship. That could be walking into a trap. There could be something about these survivors that means that that's the worst possible decision. Or, if we secure the station, I mean, I don't know, have we got enough technology to fight off these massively advanced attackers? Okay, so Notorious and AV have both gone gather information. Okay, Edison and John have gone to 3, secure the station, set up defenses. I'm seeing a bit of a roll for hotness. I mean, we could, if we wanted to, go and do that and just ask, the hot scientists, dangerously hot scientists for the planet Bimbo 4, how will a hero handle this situation? Bow, chicka, wow, wow. Okay, we've got 2 votes for securing the station by our resident warmongers Edison Trent and John Mortimer. Darkstar, unsurprisingly, going for the Star Wars. Eminence and Shadow, the Star Trek, Star Wars. Sorry, Darkstar. Eminence and Shadow. AV have all gone for option 1. So it looks like we're going to gather some information. Let's find out what's going on. Unveiling the conspiracy. As you gather information from the survivors, you learn that they were conducting research on a powerful and potentially dangerous technology. They believe that their research attracted the attention of a secretive organization known as the Shadow Syndicate. This organization seeks to control advanced technology for their own sinister purposes. The survivors fear that the Syndicate was responsible for the attack on the research station. Scientists, we have evidence of communication between the Syndicate and some of our colleagues. They were collaborating secretly. Dun, dun, dun! Okay. Do we, 1, examine the evidence and formulate a plan to confront the Syndicate? Or, 2, evacuate the survivors immediately because the Syndicate might return? Or 3, secure the research data and technology before the Syndicate can find it? What are we up to? Avi has already ploughed ahead with option 3. He wants to secure the research data. I don't know here, guys, because do we chase down the Syndicate? Do we get proactive, get ahead of this thing, stop them from using it? The longer we wait, the colder that trail becomes. But we've also got a responsibility to these survivors. We can't just leave them. We are the UEE Navy, after all. And letting the scientists die. These are the people with first-hand evidence. They know who the traitors were. But there's all this research data and technology. Doesn't mean they haven't copied it and taken it. But do we just want to leave that on the station, open to anyone? I mean, the Syndicate getting hold of it is one thing. Everyone getting hold of it is something else entirely. Okay, so the bets here. AV, Edison Trent, Notorious, Mortimer, Darkstar, Eminence have all gone for secure the data. Stunner wants to examine the evidence and formulate a plan to confront the Syndicate. Yeah, I got to admit, I like option 1 as well, but we are outnumbered here, Stunner. So it is option 3, securing the research data before the Syndicate can get hold of it, hoping that they haven't done so already. Let's do that. Chapter 10, Clash of Shadows. You decide to secure the research data and technology before the Syndicate can locate it. Your team works quickly to gather valuable information and dismantle any potentially dangerous equipment. As you do so, you intercept a faint communication from the Syndicate, indicating their awareness of your presence. We know what you're doing, Squadron 42. You won't escape our reach. Dun dun dun. Looks like we might have lingered just too long. Do we finish securing the research and prepare for a confrontation? Evacuate the data and survivors to a safer location, or initiate a stealth operation to track the source of the Syndicate's transmission? Some good options here. Choose an option by typing the corresponding number. So, securing the research and prepare for a confrontation. That's what we set out to do anyway, right? So, do we do that whole military select and maintain the aim and don't get distracted? We dictate the tempo, not them dictating the tempo to us. Do we get everything off now? We have civilians potentially in the line of fire with the Syndicate. We've just rescued them from almost certain death once. Do we want to leave them in the line again? Initiate a stealth operation to track the source of the Syndicate transmission. Do we find out where they're transmitting from, then potentially run, but give ourselves the option of striking back? Dunno. Okie dokie. So, Evidence says, might have to take the strategic way instead of the tactical one, even if everyone dies. I'm glad you're so flippant with my life. Thanks for that. Okay, so we've got 3 for option 1. Finish securing the research and prepare for a confrontation. That's AV, Notorious, Graceful, and Darkstar has just gone in that way as well. We have... Oh, Notorious has changed to 2. So we've got 3 for option 1. We have 2 for option 2 and 2 for option 3. So 2 for evacuate the research data, 2 for initiate the stealth operation. It looks like finish securing the research data and prepare for confrontation it is. Will Squadron 4... Oh, in fact, no, tell a lie, you've changed, haven't you? Yeah, so it is 3 for number 1, not 4. Will Squadron 42 survive? Find out next week. Here we go. We're going to finish securing the research data. See if we can stand up to this. Oh, we've now got Mortimer at the last second with evacuate the research data. That leaves us with 2. 2 for number 1, 2 for number 2. Okay, so everyone that voted 3, that's Edison, Trent, and Eminence and Shadow. Okay, pretend option 3 isn't there. Give me an option 1 and an option 2. Whichever one you would choose. Let's see where we go. Hopefully you both go for the same thing. But yeah, let's see. I'm responsible for the day. Well, I mean, no pressure. Hey. Shinobi has gone 2. So now evacuate the research data and survivors to a safer location. Eminence has gone 2. That's it. It's got to be number 2 now. We can't do number 1 because even if Edison does that, that's it. 1 or 2, mate. Secure the research station and prepare for a confrontation. He's gone 1. Okay, it's got to be 2 because that's 2 for number 2. We're going to evacuate the research data and survivors to a safer location. Here we go. The pursuit of truth. You make the decision to evacuate the research data and survivors to a safer location. As you prepare to leave, you notice a hidden compartment containing encrypted data files that could hold critical information about the syndicate's activities. We managed to encrypt some of the most sensitive data. It could expose the syndicate's operations. Do we take it with us, leave it and focus on evacuating, or assign a specialist to decrypt it whilst we evacuate? What do we reckon? I feel like we could go with something like... I'm just going to... something a bit more kind of tense. Okay, here we go. John and Stunner both want a specialist to work on decrypting that data. So does Edison. Graceful says take the encrypted data with us and tape to decrypt it, as does Eminence and Shadow. We could run the whole thing. Darkstar says specialist to work on decrypting the data while we evacuate. He is hoping it's not a virus or something to shut us down, huh? 1. Take it with us. So we've got a bit of a fight developing. We've got 1, 2, 3 for option 1, 4 for option 3. It's coming down to those. Oh. Well, that's it. Shinobi, you've just won that. Cake and eat it too, please. Here we go. We're assigning a specialist while we evacuate. Here we go. Decrypting Shadows, Chapter 12. You assign a specialist. As you depart the research station, you notice syndicate ships arriving in the vicinity. It's clear that they're determined to recover the research data and eliminate any witnesses. Squadron 42, surrender the research data and abandon the survivors. This is your only warning. Overly dramatic narrative or narrator engaged. 1. Prepare for a defensive battle. 2. Engage the syndicate ships. Buy time for the evacuation. 3. Initiate evasive maneuvers and lead the syndicate ships away. I know which one I want, and I'm hoping you guys go the same way, but sometimes there is only one way to go in a situation like this. In this moment in time, in my head, Squadron 42 turns around and completely shocked to find 3 Perseus's of the DGP community, 3 Persei of the DGP community charging into the rescue. So it says engage the syndicate ships and buy time for the evacuation. So it looks like you can do both, AV. Tell them I said you surrender or I'll kill you. I won't even use a gun. Here we go. So I like all of these options. I'm just gonna, because I think, if I'm being honest, this needs a little bit. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the right bit of the music. You know what I'm looking for. Engage the syndicate ships. Darkstar goes for 5. That's not an option, mate. Here we go. Engage the syndicate ships and buy time for the evacuation. Chapter 13. Showdown in the Stars. The skies around the research station erupt into a fierce space battle as your squadron crashes with the Syndicate forces. Blaster fire, explosions, and energy beams light up the void of space. The battle is intense, but your skill and determination prevail. After a hard-fought confrontation, the Syndicate ships are either destroyed or forced to retreat. With the immediate threat neutralized, your team regroups. Good work, team. We've held them off for now. The survivors are safe. Okay, so... Woo! While shouting freedom. Yeah, just someone's on the front, completely naked from the top down, top up even, with an American flag, giving it, moshing as we did that. America. Right, so, do we search the wreckage for any clues about the Syndicate's plans? Or check on the decryption progress of the encrypted data? Or 3, return to base and report the situation to our superiors? So, that is 1. Search the wreckage for any clues about the Syndicate's plans. 2. Check on the decryption progress. Or 3. Return to base and report the situation to our superiors. I would kind of hope that the decryption progress would be ours regardless, right? Because it would be really weird if we're just like, no, we tried to do something else, sorry, you're going to have to stay at that station while we all go home. That would be weird. So, Edison and Mortimer, John Mortimer wants to check on the decryption progress, as does Darkstar, as does Eminence and Shadow. We need that data. Gib. Send the Syndicate weapons, says Graceful. That's not in the script. AV says 1, search the wreckage. Edison says 2. Eminence says then 1. Should we ask if can I choose 2 options? Shinobi, same cake. Yeah, absolutely. Can we check on the decryption and then search the wreckage? Or can we search the wreckage and then check on the decryption? Even for an AI-generated adventure, I really doubt those Syndicate attack ships had anything of value. Okay, let's find out. 2, check on the decryption progress of the encrypted data. That seems to be kind of the overwhelming, unraveling darkness. You check on the progress of decrypting the data. The specialist has made significant headway, and the data reveals shocking details about the Syndicate's operations and their grand plan to control advanced technology throughout the galaxy. The decrypting data indicates that the Syndicate has infiltrated key organizations across different sectors. They aim to manipulate technological advancements for their own gain. Okay, so are we going to 1. Prepare a detailed report and transmit it to our superiors, organise a covert operation to expose and dismantle the Syndicate's network, or seek the assistance of allied factions to confront the Syndicate head-on? This is an interesting one. Offer the Syndicate Medicaid and then blast them again. Would you like a bandage? Tough. Nice. So, a detailed report and transmit it to superiors. If we are attacked and destroyed, that would be useful, because at least someone else has the information. But the covert operation to expose and dismantle smells like tea and medals to me, boys. And then number 3, seek the assistance of allied factions. I don't like that one, because they said they've infiltrated key organizations, and that sounds like a lot of like handing the victory to our enemies if it was me, but what do we think? So we've got a lot of 2s. Offer the syndicate Canadian healthcare, says Notorious. Rude. John says prepare a detailed report and transmit it to our superiors. So, we've got kind of 2 for 1, 2 for 2, and then one kind of always at one. It's sort of in the middle between 1 and 2. Lots of people organising a covert operation. Lots of people operating a covert operation. Nice. Okay. 1 needs to be done, but I would follow with a 2. Sounds like a standard trip to the toilet, that. Okay, so 2 it is. Organise a covert operation to expose and dismantle the Syndicate's network. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Chapter 15. Shadows exposed. Did we not have one that was exposing shadows? Decrypting shadows. Clash of shadows. Unraveling truth, and we've had unraveling shadows. Okay. With the decrypted data in hand, you gather your most skilled operatives and begin to follow the trail of evidence. It leads you to a hidden base on a desolate moon, which serves as the Syndicate's main hub. Under the cover of darkness, your team infiltrates the base, navigating through tight corridors and evading security systems. As you progress, you uncover more evidence of the Syndicate's vast and sinister plans. We've accessed their central database. We can expose their operations to the galaxy. Stunner, that's not how you spell cannon fodder. But yes, we are. Just waiting for Cliff Richards. Cool. Okay, so download the data and ensure its transmission to the galactic authorities. Plant a virus to disrupt their communications and disable their operations. Or confront the Syndicate's leader and force them to surrender. What do we reckon? Is this like the Hydra? If we confront the Syndicate's leader, will it be a case of where one head falls, another one appears? Are they multi-celled? Don't know. If we plant a virus, how much collateral damage is that going to do? Do they have offline copies that they're going to be able to just use to back up everything? Or download the data and ensure its transmission to the galactic authorities. Okie dokie. Another trip to the toilet. 1, then 2, then 3. Yeah, it's like, can we do all of those, please? So, a couple for 3. Another one for 2. A couple of people going for 1s. So, you those that are doing multiple options completely get it. But I just need 1 number from you. If you only had the time to do 1, you would do what? Because this is making counting up votes. My brain's just like, eh. Because this, I think this is going to coincide quite nicely with end next time. But, so we have, I'm just going to count up the single numbers. So if you want your vote counted, make sure you got a single number in there, guys. So I've got 1, 2, 3 for number 3. I've got 3 for number 2 and 2 for number 1. 3 for number 1. So we've got 3 for each. Good. Come on, Shinobi, where are you? I need you to rush to your keyboard, whatever you're doing. Or your keypad, and tell me what it is. Guys, notice that you haven't responded in there. Any other guys in there that we haven't seen? Avi. Oh, yeah, Avi, you've got it. You've got 2 as well. I need 1 more vote from people. Or a change of mind. Because we are on 3, 3, and 3. Or is it down to me, I guess, right? He's eating cake. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, oh, no. Okay, John's still going 1. Darkstar has changed from 2 to 3. That means multiple votes for 3. Multiple votes for 3. We're going to go with 3. Confront the Syndicate's leader and force them to surrender. Here we go. Final confrontation. You and your team decide to confront the Syndicate's leader directly, aiming to force their surrender and put an end to their nefarious plans. As you make your way deeper into the base, the tension in the air is palpable. You encounter fierce resistance from Syndicate operatives, but your determination and training carry you forward. Finally, you reach the heart of the base, where the Syndicate leader stands waiting, surrounded by loyal guards. You come far, Squadron 42, but you underestimate my power. 1. Engage in a direct battle against them. 2. Negotiate for their surrender. 3. Use the evidence against them to weaken their resolve. What do you reckon? Just while you guys are making your choice, I shall put us onto our. Where are you? No prisoners from Shinobi. Mount Stunner, Edison Trent says use the evidence to weaken their resolve. John Mortimer says negotiate for their surrender. Take them as prisoners. Ava, make him say sorry, then release him. Monster AV, you come from California. Graceful. So we've got 2 going for number 1. We got a couple people going. We got 3 going for number 1. We got 4 going for number 3. Number 3, it sounds like, use the evidence against them. Breaking the shadows. You present the decrypted data, revealing the extent of their operations and the identities of their collaborators. The Syndicate's leader's confidence wavers as their allies' names and actions are exposed. You may have the data, but you won't stop us. As the weight of their actions becomes clear, some of the Syndicate guards begin to doubt their allegiance. So, do we continue to appeal to the guards' doubts and encourage them to stand down? Seize the opportunity to disarm the Syndicate leader and end this confrontation? Or offer the Syndicate leader a chance for amnesty in exchange for their cooperation? That's an interesting one. What are we going to go for? Yes, John, he was. You were entirely correct, sir. Avi's gone for seize the opportunity to disarm the Syndicate leader. Eminence has gone for appeal the guards' doubts. Edison wants to offer them amnesty. Yeah. We're pushing the seize the opportunity moment. God, I feel old. Play with their hopes for a little longer. Escape for a little longer. I like that one. I think we can do this with minimum bloodshed. Although it looks like overpower them. I just go in it. German, we are playing Squadron 42, the text-based adventure. In our first adventure, we went to the rescue of the SS Athena, a cargo ship that had been attacked by an unknown alien race. We arrived, resisted the urge to fight them, and then engaged them in diplomacy, told them that what they were doing was wrong. They admitted that. They said they misinterpreted a distress call as a hostile intent. And then we got to engaging them in diplomacy, entering a new era of interspecies cooperation throughout the galaxy. In our second adventure, which is the one you join us through now, Edison's just banging 2 on his keyboard with his face, I should imagine. We've gone to a research station where we discovered the research station damaged. We found some injured scientists sealed away inside, and they've been attacked by a shadowy group called the Syndicate, who were after some advanced weapons tech or technology that they were developing to use for their own nefarious schemes. We fought them off in a battle while evacuating the space station, then discovered some encrypted material they had and tracked them to their base. As we speak, we are now trying to force the syndicate leader to stand down. Everyone has now decided that we are done talking with this guy. We are going to seize the opportunity to disarm the syndicate leader and end this confrontation. And that's what we do. Seizing the opportunity, you and your team spring into action. With swift and precise maneuvers, you disarm the guards and confront the leader directly. A tense standoff ensues, but your determination and the weight of the evidence you've gathered eventually lead the leader to surrender. You've won this battle, Squadron 42, but the shadows will always find a way. Eminence and Shadow, I've got a feeling you're a mole. Just like evidence, right? With the Syndicate's leader subdued and their operations exposed, the remaining guards lay down their weapons. Your mission is a success, and the galaxy is safer without the Syndicate's influence. Okay, do we secure him and prepare for extraction? Render medical assistance to any injured Syndicate members, or transmit the evidence to the galactic authorities and wait their instructions? Now the timer extensions. Aim for the reactor. Pew pew. Edison goes to secure the syndicate leader and prepare for extraction. Nice. Avi says the same. Nothing like a bit of noble intent for our enemies who we just kick the living snot out of. Yep. Eminence and Shadow goes for 1 as well. In that case, I'm definitely not doing 1. If Eminence and Shadow does it, because Shadow, definitely a mole. A couple there for transmit the evidence to the galactic authorities and await their instructions. So, it looks like we're going to extract with the leader. With the Syndicate leader secured and remaining guards disarmed, your mission to expose and dismantle the Syndicate's network is a resounding success. As you prepare for extraction, you reflect on the impact of your decisions have had on the galaxy. Well done, team. Your efforts have brought an end to the Syndicate's reign of darkness. Complete the extraction and return to base. Ensure that the Syndicate's leader is held in a secure facility, or celebrate your victory with your fellow Squadron 42 members. What do we reckon? What's the last option? RTB. Make sure that this guy doesn't escape, which is obviously what's going to happen at some point, right? Or just get drunk. I mean, and I don't want to tempt anyone, but if you do want to get drunk and celebrate, I have a bottle of port here. 6 years old. You know, if you want some. So Gorman and John Mortimer have both gone for complete the extraction. Darkstar. Oh, Darkstar's now... Gorman's now changed his mind, so Darkstar. We've got... Graceful's just like, get drunk! Woo! You would think so, right? Avi, that 1 would complete the extraction, return to base would also be that. Okay. So we've got to ensure the Syndicate's leader is held in a secure facility. Triumph of light. Hey, there we go. Someone said that as well, didn't they? You ensure that the Syndicate's leader is securely confined in a high security facility. With the decrypted data and evidence in the hands of the galactic authorities, the Syndicate's operations are exposed, and their influence begins to crumble. Your success in dismantling the Syndicate's network has a profound impact on the galaxy, as allied factions work together to root out any remnants of the organisation. As the shadows of the Syndicate fade away, your reputation within Squadron 42 reaches new heights. Your leadership, decision-making, and tactical prowess, this is you guys, not me, you did this, have cemented your place as a respected hero in the fight against galactic threats. I feel like we need to... Here we go. Ready? Just got to get it the right place. As the shadows of the Syndicate fade away, your reputation within Squadron 42 reaches new heights. Your leadership, decision-making, and tactical prowess have cemented your place as a respected hero in the fight against galactic threats. Congratulations, you've completed this chapter of Squadron 42, The Galactic Chronicles. Your journey as a courageous spacefaring hero continues, and your choices will shape the future of the galaxy. If you're ready for more adventures, feel free to let me know. Your destiny in the universe is yours to command. That was actually quite good fun. I don't know about you guys, I quite enjoyed that. I thought that was quite good fun. Yeah. Option 4, give evidence and shadow it. Yeah, absolutely. That I quite enjoyed that. I'm just gonna, because ChatGPT is quite clever about this stuff. If I want to return to this point in a future conversation, how can I do that? Oh. So we can absolutely return to this. So we're going to return to do some more. What do you think? Should we give this another go? And we can have kind of like a segment where we do a little bit of this at the end. Does that sound good? Because I'm just yeah. I live in the shadows to hunt shadows from the shadows. No, I mean, yeah, like literally reading the reading the next chapter was Shadows of Betrayal, Clash of Shadows, Decrypting Shadows, Unraveling Darkness, Shadows Exposed, Breaking the Shadows, Shadows Dissipated, Shadows Subdued, Triumph of Light. That was really cool. I'm actually quite buzzing about that. Like I said, I don't prep this stuff. I get the pages up ready to go. So when I first did it, the only bit that I prepped that you might have seen at the beginning, and I said, can you present the game Squadron 42 as a text-based adventure for me to play? But it did the whole thing without me typing in the answers, if you can see. It just did the whole thing. So this is where we started. I said, can you do that again, but let me choose the options, please. So that was awesome. I thought that was very, very, very cool. But yeah, that's been really good fun. And thank you very much for your interaction. You know, there's only, I think, streams don't get above 20 people, right? And without you guys joining in and giving me that feedback, like, I couldn't do this. So thank you very much. It's been really good fun. As always, headed to the Discord after this. To chat with people. So if you want to come across and join me, you are more than welcome. I don't think I've managed to put it in the description for this video. So if you want an invite across and you're not already in the Discord, just send me a message on the Info Runners one, or put a message in this chat and let me know that's what you need. All right, and I'll send you an invite. But it's been really, really good fun. I've actually quite enjoyed that. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I'll see you soon.